All right, welcome back for another episode of the More Than Outdoors podcast, the podcast where we talk about the people, places, and passions that drive Maine's outdoor recreation economy. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Austin French.
And I'm Sam Andrews.
And we have an awesome location that we are set up in today. You will notice that we are definitely in a slightly more indoor location than we tend to be with these episodes, but if you were outside, you would probably understand. I don't know if it's still above zero, but it was pretty close while we were up at Sugarloaf this morning. And we have another incredible guest on the podcast today, and so Kayla, thank you so much for being able to come on and chat with us. And I will admit, we hate the whole us doing an intro for you, so we always try to leave it up. So maybe just quick who you are, what you do for work, and who you do it for kind of vibe.
Sure. I'm Kayla, and I'm the director here at the Adaptive Outdoor Education Center. It's a mouthful. And we're a nonprofit, so in true nonprofit fashion, we all wear a lot of hats. I do a little bit of everything. We're at our lodge here, where we do overnight lodging. We get to do year-round programming and have a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
the yurt feels like a perfect setup for an outdoor podcast. It's the perfect blend.
Yeah, there's no heat in here, so we're kind of
we
feels
are
like
still
we're outside.
bundled.
We're still bundled, but we are out of the wind.
Protected
It's a very
from the wind.
windy day today,
Totally.
so we're grateful that there's some space for us to come in and get to know you and learn more about the Adaptive Outdoor Education Center. This is my first time here, but it's been nice. This podcast has kind of pulled us up to the valley quite a few times. And it's nice today, the drive up here. It was blue sky, and you could see the Bigelows really crystal clear. So it's probably pretty special for you to get to live up here and get to kind of be the caretaker of the space and welcome guests. And I was learning a little bit more about this as you were showing us around before the episode. But will you talk a little bit about kind of Adaptive Outdoor Education Center? It is a mouthful. AOEC. We kind of use that as the acronym, but what do you all do, and share more about this space in particular?
Yeah, we started in 2015, so we just celebrated our 10-year birthday, which is very exciting.
Wow.
Bruce and Anne Marie Albiston are the folks who founded the AOEC, so technically we're the Albiston Foundation, and then within that we're both the Adaptive Outdoor Education Center and the Aphasia Center of Maine. I like to think of the AOEC as our two centers here in Carrabassett, where we provide fully accessible overnight lodging. So anybody with a disability and their family and friends can stay with us. In the winter, it's a lot of families who are kind of using us like a hotel, so they just rent by the room. Folks who are coming up to participate in adaptive ski programs, people who just might want a mountain vacation. However, an adaptive space can be best for folks. They're welcome to stay with us. We also house all of our volunteers here, so it makes it really awesome for us to be able to provide that perk for people coming up to Sugarloaf.
Awesome.
I like that you said that there are so many returning visitors that it's almost like a little second home for people. So is there a community vibe when everyone gets up here for the weekend? Is it mostly weekend warriors?
Yeah, a lot
of
weekend folks. That's when our ski program runs at Sugarloaf.
Yeah.
And you'll come in on a Saturday morning. Parents are around the fire having coffee. Kids are, games are everywhere. Kids are having fun together. And it's just the most magical part of what we do, I think, because people just get to be in a welcoming, inclusive space where there are no barriers. And it's just really lovely because oftentimes the folks we work with don't have that experience when they go places.
Totally.
So it's very magical.
Yeah, I gotta imagine that's gotta be tough. I think about just the logistics that Colleen and I go through anytime we plan a trip. But then when you walk through your space, thinking about all of the little details of how do you truly have a lodge, whatever your lodging situation is, that it is truly accessible, 100%.
Totally.
Obviously I know being up at Sugarloaf, and I see you all interacting with tons of the different athletes that you end up working with, Horizons and all those things. And so there's spectrums in all of that. And I love that this allows there to be a place where, regardless of what else is going on, you know that like, okay, this box is checked.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's just figure out all of the other stuff that
The
comes
other
with like
logistics.
coming to the mountain, you know, like
Totally.
all those things.
What makes this space accessible? Like I noticed that the door frames were wider, but I know that they're all like it's one level. What are
Totally.
some of the other things that you could think of that make
Yeah.
it accessible?
All one level. The AOEC is actually modeled after a Pine Tree Camp Lodge. So when Pine Tree did their big remodel, we used the plans for that. So that was an awesome resource. And the bathrooms are all fully accessible. The sinks you could wheel under if you're a wheelchair user. The bathrooms the showers have fold down benches. All of the beds have different railings. The doors have additional pulls on them. We're always looking to add stuff too. So when we have people here, we're like, please tell us if we should change anything, how it could be better. And so we're continuing to learn too what truly accessible can look like.
That's really cool.
And I think from the returning user, they probably get used to the space as well. And so it makes it feel like home where they know what to expect when they show up here.
Definitely. Sort of that routine and familiarity helps with families kind of stepping outside their box every season to come skiing. It's like, oh, we're going back to the lodge, or some people call it ski camp, or whatever the word is. And they just walk through the door and make themselves at home. They get all the games out. Parents just start making coffee. We'll come in and someone's made like a huge thing of pasta for everyone.
Oh,
And
cool.
it's just such a beautiful thing to see.
That's really awesome.
That's lovely. I
Yeah.
feel like I steered away from the question that I asked you earlier and like totally got off track, but it just, I mean, we love talking about community and just like how I think it's a really special part of the outdoor recreation world here in Maine. And so especially to create that space for people who need, you know, extra support, I think that's really amazing that you offer that.
Well, and I think it's been really cool because I've started to be very conscious of it as we've like done all of the episodes, and very rarely is it like us that brings up community, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's always the guests like talking about like what does that version of community look like for them within all of the little nooks and crannies that like we've done these episodes for. And I think that's very telling, because it would be very easy for you and I to just like every single episode we start with we're talking about the outdoor community and blah 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 blah, and then we like lead the conversation. But that feels very like it feels very like intrinsic, that it's not just us feeding that. Like that's coming from all of our experiences throughout our lives and like what allowed us to connect to the outdoors and things like that. And so, you know, like it's something we're always really curious about too. Like, you know, how did you end up in the outdoor rec world in the first place?
Good question. I'm from Washington State, and so when I went to college, I thought special education was going to be my track, that I wanted to be a teacher. And then I quickly learned I don't want to be a teacher, and volunteered with a similar program out west in Seattle called Outdoors for All. Very similar to what we do, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. I get to play outside, create access and opportunity for people who might not have that, and it's just really fun and empowering. And my partner and I moved here. We were just going to be here for the summer, working for Maine Hudson Trails. I met a really nice guest who came in and shared that I liked working with diverse populations. He said, well, have you met Bruce and Anne Marie Albiston? And I was like, no. He said, well, I don't know what they're building, but they're building something up here and you should get in touch with them. And I found Bruce's email, came to the center when there was, you know, not even walls up. And I was like, I don't know if you're looking for volunteers or staff or if there are opportunities here, but I'd love to be involved. And that was 10 years ago. So It's been magic ever since.
That's
Feels
awesome.
very meant to be, which is so cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing.
You've been here from the beginning. And I know that there's, in Brunswick, I know that you all have another location down there, and I think that was where you all started. Can you talk about how that differs from this space?
Yeah, the Brunswick campus came in 2019. So Bruce and Anne Marie purchased that. It used to be an old school. And
So it was after. This was
After
actually
this.
the original.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This was our flagship, I guess, location. And then our Brunswick campus is just a day program space. So a much larger campus, about 15 acres. We have adaptive trails there, sensory, Maine native gardens. If you've watched Maine Cabin Masters, they built us a clubhouse. And then we just have great program space that's open to everyone. A big Horizons event center, program room, commercial kitchen, and then a couple of other Maine nonprofits call that campus home too. So it's open to the general public to rent. So we get a lot of like birthday parties,
Sure.
board meetings. We've had weddings there.
Cool.
It's a very cool space, but it also allows us to do some really great programming where the people are.
Totally.
What does that programming look like? I know I've been there and I've been to a couple events actually.
Oh, cool.
And I've like seen the sensory garden and walked through it and loved that and hiked some of the trails. But I'm curious about the programming that you offer.
Yeah, at the Brunswick campus specifically, we do a summer camp for neurodivergent youth. That is a week of full energy and fun. And then we do some different day programs. We work with adult day program groups as well as school special education groups. They'll come to campus for kind of a field trip day. We started doing a parents' night out so that parents can get a little
cool.
respite, which has been
That's
really
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
A music program every other Friday, a nature series program once a month. Just a lot of different things to bring people to campus in kind of creative ways. We know that not everyone's looking to do a high adrenaline activity like skiing.
Yeah.
So we can kind of tailor our options to be something for everyone with arts and activities.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's really.
And you do programming here as well, or?
Yes, we do
Yeah.
programming here. A summer retreat for adults with spinal cord injury. We do a caregiver retreat. We partner with an awesome local water ski person named Dan and do water ski camp, skiing here. And then we also do programming with a bunch of different businesses throughout the state, like climbing at Maine Bound and at Evo, sailing at Sail Maine, skiing at 5 other mountains. We've got a lot going on.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's a lot.
And
Yeah.
like you said, it's a small nonprofit. So how many people are employed by you all?
We have 3 full-time staff, and then Bruce and Marie, who are our founders,
Yeah.
and then really, really incredible volunteers who help make it all happen.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yes, we're very lucky to have such a strong, again, community that makes us be able to do so much great work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of it is rooted in outdoor recreation.
Mm-hmm.
And so have you noticed that in the participants who come to your programs or that stay here, that they're all interested in spending time in the outdoors or like pushing their comfort zone, or like how did you all decide to like tie the outdoors to your programs?
I think it's a mix. I think some people are definitely interested in getting outside and spending time outside, and others might not even think about the outdoors as a place for them. Like, how do I access it? What does that look like? Is it a safe place for me to be? So it's a really fun mix, I would say. And, you know, for so many people, it's like a whole new experience, and there's a lot of anxiety that comes with that as well, of like, how do I go outside? Do I have the right gear? Am I going to the right place? Is there equipment? Like so many of the questions. And so we really just try to make everything simple, a really smooth process, so that when they show up, we can kind of help ease those anxieties by just being prepared and organized and starting slow. One of my favorite moments was probably 9 years ago, and we just went for a walk around the outdoor center. And this woman picked up this leaf and she was looking at it, and then she paused and she was like, "This is something I could do at home." I was like, yes, you can go right out your front door and go for a walk and just look at nature. And that's so cool that you feel that now.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I think we have a tendency to like only imagine outdoor recreation as the high adrenaline, intense sporting event. But like I was just down in Farmington. We're doing a bunch of work with the Woodland Senior Living Center down there. And so they have this whole new wing of their facility is like independent living. Like these are folks that are basically just moving into a 55 plus community type vibe. And they wanted to like get outdoor rec, programming available to them. But like they're not the people that have all of the staff. And so we were looking at having Mainly Outdoors do some stuff with them. And so I was over there on Wednesday, and we went and did like a little meet and greet, like kind of sit down. And I just sat there and listened. I was just like, I just want to understand what you all are actually looking for. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing to me how it was like, they just wanted to be able to like take guided walks through the woods and like do bird watching and like maybe get into a canoe if they had somebody else in the canoe that they felt like was more competent than them. You know, like, and so it was like these very low lift things, you know, and yet, you know, to your point, it's these things are very accessible. And with a walk as an example, like you don't need the structured programming. It's great to have because you're then surrounded by other people who are like also interested in this thing. You get to, you know, build out relationships and stuff. But at the end of the day, like just open your back door and just put your feet in the ground for a little bit.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like,
time outside. It's just so beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes that's something that you have to remind people of and show them like this is something that is going to make you feel better or that you can do at home. And it's like creating these lifelong habits of wellness. And so that's definitely something I admire about your program, that you're able to do that. And I think it's really cool also to show them that they have possibilities beyond maybe what they thought was imaginable. Like, I mean, I'm so impressed by people in sit skis or even people that are blind and have volunteers that are supporting them ski down the hill. It's just amazing to see that that's something that's possible. And I think it's, you know, getting in the outdoors is already out of people's comfort zone. Like I work with very like, you know, all kinds of different people at Colby and, you know, all different types of students, but like getting into the outdoors is really overwhelming to them. And I noticed that it's, you know, you have to have some education around it. You have to have some support to then make it feel possible and comfortable. So these outdoor education programs have like a common thread through them. So I find it very cool that of all the things that you are doing here and making it possible and showing them that they're capable of doing everything just as everyone else is.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And you probably have a lot of tools to make that happen too. Like I noticed out back here, you have like the rock wall and there are a couple other things. I'm just kind of curious about like, how do you incorporate that? I'm sure it's like within your programming. Do you incorporate those things?
Yeah, those are kind of like our challenge. I think we have to call it a playground.
Yeah.
It's a challenge course. It's a whole different endurance.
Different ball game.
So our challenge playground is great. Like you're saying, it just kind of gives people a challenge by choice. If they want to try balance elements, that's awesome. One of the things under the snow out there is the balance board. I think it's called the Whale Watch. And when we do our spinal cord injury retreat, I think they've had 10 wheelchair users on it balancing, which
That's awesome.
has made me terrified. And everyone has, you know, made it out in one piece, which is great. But it's incredible just to see. It's like teamwork. It's silly and fun. And it's just, you know, again, more ways to spend time outside and get comfortable in the outdoors, trying new things. Like that's what we're all about, is we want people to try something new, to have a positive experience, and at the end of the day to be like, oh, I would do that again. Like I'm not, you know, I'm not afraid, it went well, and I want to come back. Like when we can get them to come back, that's the biggest win.
Yeah, creating those positive experiences.
Totally. Well, and can we like double click into that for a little bit, because like you know, full disclosure, like we have you come in and do trainings with us like at the ski school up at Sugarloaf and stuff every year, and like just talk a little bit about what it actually looks like when you're like working with all the Horizons athletes and you're bringing those folks out on the snow, which is like already a complicated enough environment with everything else, but then like you're bringing a lot of different pieces to the puzzle in with it too. So like I don't think enough people realize what really goes into that kind of process. So I would love to just like give you the floor a little bit on that.
Sure. It's so fun to get to be in ski school, which is huge for the program because the skiers in our program are a part of ski school with their peers, you know, and the Sugarloaf coaches are so generous and kind and come over and talk to us and include us out on the hill, and it just creates a really nice environment. I sort of like to tell people like, this is a classroom and we're an ed tech supporting a student is kind of a good way to think about it. But sort of the big first piece that we share with families and people participating is a social story. I think social stories should be at every single program everywhere, no matter who's participating. And it basically just breaks down where you're going, what you're doing with pictures and words. So coming to Sugarloaf, extremely overwhelming place. Like from the second you pull up the access road, where do I park? What happens next? Where do I go? And so it just breaks that down into steps, using pictures, using words, and talking about different sensory things. When you park, you can get on the shuttle bus. It might be loud and crowded with people. When you get your ski gear, you have to wear a helmet that's going to cover your ears. When you put on your ski boots, they're going to feel heavy and bulky. Just trying to prepare them for all of the different sensory things that are going to be new. And then also, it's a really great tool for parents and guardians bringing people up because they're stressed too. I'm sure you see parents every day coming to ski school.
I catch them as they walk in the doors and they're just like, what now?
Yeah, where do I go? My kid is like sweating because we just walked a mile and now he's going to be cold all day. And it's so overwhelming. So if we can help with a social story for pre-planning, that is a huge, huge step in, I think, people being successful. And we'll know when families read it because kids will tell us what's next. Like, okay, I put my stuff on, now I can go outside. It's like, yeah, we got all our gear, let's go outside. When do I get to ride the snowmobile is such a common question. So that's a really powerful tool and something that we like to use. And then we like to figure out what their interests are and things they already know. If they play basketball, great, that transfers really well to skiing. Like, you know, you don't stand straight up when you play basketball. You got a nice bend in your knees and you're bouncing. Or if they like to horseback ride, whatever it is, using the things that they're already familiar with to kind of create that bond and friendship out on the hill can be really powerful. We make a lot of sticker charts because those are really fun and easy. We have people who, one of them really loves pirates, so when we go to the climbing gym, it's a treasure hunt. You know, he has to climb certain routes to make his way to the next step. So just making things fun because it's not that serious and we want the activity to be fun and something they want to come back and do.
Totally.
So when you say the Horizon program, I guess for those who don't know what that is, can you explain it? These are, they're like returning.
They're sort of like our ongoing programs.
Okay.
So again, we're the AOEC, which I like to think of as our physical centers, and then Horizons are our programs. And we did that for a couple of reasons. Mainly, Adaptive Outdoor Education Center Adaptive Ski Program is a mouthful. Rather than Horizon Ski Program. And then it also takes the word adaptive out of it, so it can be an inclusive program for everyone. A lot of parents shared with us that they didn't want their kids labeled in a program. They didn't want it to say adaptive. They didn't want them to feel like they were in something different than their peers. So just by calling it Horizons Climbing, Horizons Sailing, it eliminates sort of that label, which has been really cool.
Yeah.
And that includes kind of all that we do. Horizons Summer Camp, skiing, sailing, music, after school program. It's sort of all sorts of different programs that live under that bubble. So it's been a confusing road, but we are both Horizons and AOEC.
It sounds like you're like taking in the feedback from your participants and then like changing to kind of adapt to their needs. So
yes,
I admire that.
Yeah, we believe in bringing them into the process. Like, we don't know everything, and learning from people with lived experience is the greatest resource. They're going to tell us what's worked well, things we don't think about in every way. So when we look to add a program or expand on something, we bring people in with that lived experience because it's invaluable.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember it was, like I said to you, like 2 years ago or something, where I met you through Zoom, and you're essentially acting as like a consultant to the nonprofit Teens to Trails that I was working for. And we were just trying to learn from you about how to make our programming more accessible because we were working with, they work with middle and high school outdoor clubs. And I remember that the story that you were telling me, that you were just mentioning, what did you call it? You call it, what is it? This social story. Yeah, and I found that to be really easy for us to do, to then be able to share like kind of this packet of information with the students attending our programs to give them a heads up. And so we kind of changed some of our programming using that advice. But I know that there are so many organizations that are offering programming, and I'm curious, do you all still offer that like consultant? Do you play that consultant role often for other organizations or even like schools that offer outdoor programs? Because I think there's, you hold a wealth of knowledge
Mhm.
from working with different families and everything.
Totally. Yes, we love to share more ideas, more ways for places and spaces to be inclusive of everyone. And we don't want to keep it all to ourselves. It doesn't benefit the community we serve if we just hold it all. We just did a Zoom, I guess, training for the Onion Foundation, which is a big supporter of ours.
Cool.
And they invited all of their grantees to join the Zoom as well. So I think there were, 40 or so organizations, and it was very similar to what we did with you, Sam. And just sharing things to be mindful of. People work in the outdoor industry and have an incredible toolbox already.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just kind of shift your mindset of like, okay, I'm looking to serve this group, or I want this program to be accessible to these people or everyone, it just, I think, is like a pause moment to think a little bit more deeply about things, because we're all equipped to do it. It's just being mindful of like doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think.
And all the different needs that show up to a program from, all different kinds of students or participants, and being able to kind of support those as they show up.
Mhm.
And hopefully even beforehand, you're
Yeah.
preparing ahead of time.
Definitely.
Well, and I think it's cool, right? Because yes, there are all of those variables depending on like whatever the background is of the student that you're working with and all those things. But then there are a lot of strategies that are very similar regardless. Like I think back to like some of the conversations that like we have had, and it's you all I'm sure are relying on like the parents in a lot of those situations are some of your biggest resources, because
Totally.
they have answers to all of the questions that you're like, I don't know what this kid like experiences on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
And it's like, that is no different than the conversation that I would have with one of my coaches from the seasonal program, who's like, hey, I'm trying to figure this kid out, and I don't feel like I'm connecting with them super well, or maybe I'm like having this certain challenge, like behavioral, whatever. And I'm like, well, okay, have you talked to the parents? Because like, if you're experiencing it here, like they're probably also experiencing it in school or in the other sports they play or whatever. And so like the parents might have some tactics that they've watched that work.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And like obviously we're fortunate in the sense that like, when they're coming up to ski with us, like this is their like home away from home in a lot of ways, right? And so there's already like, this is, it's a great privilege to be able to be up here, and like there's we try to make sure that the kids in the program not only get a great experience, but like that's a responsibility on you, right? Like, because you're the next generation of people that are going to be the sugar loafers to come. You know what I mean? Like, and you already are, right? I mean, all of them, I'm sure, if they had name tags on them, would say sugar loafer since, and then whatever their birth year was.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's how it goes. But there is a lot of similarity, and so I think it's important to realize like it's not always this massive like reinvent the wheel of like how you work with the families in those spaces, because like just ask them the questions, right?
Yeah.
They're going to tell you if they don't know the answer, they're going to tell you that.
Totally.
You know what I mean? But
yeah, that's exactly what I was when I was sort of thinking about today and things that we were going to talk about. That's exactly what I wrote down, is like open, honest conversations. People get really nervous around that sort of thing, but if you ask the questions, you'll get the answers and you'll be able to support them. But I think so often we're nervous or hesitant, or maybe we think a question could be offensive, but I think not asking is more offensive. You're creating your own judgments in your head of like what that person can or can't do, rather than asking, how best can I support you? What does support look like? Have you done this before? What did that look like? Or how best does your child need support? How do they ride the lift?
right.
Do they get frustrated when they fall a lot? Like, all of that is really, again, in our toolbox. It's just thinking about, okay, I can ask those questions, and it's okay.
Yeah. It really
I'm not
is.
expected to know, because every kid is different.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
I think, one of my other big takeaways from our conversation was just like feeling comfortable to like make a mistake or be wrong. And I think sometimes it's, especially working with people with disabilities, you want to make sure that you're being respectful to them and, speaking to them with kindness and respect. And so I think sometimes it's like walking on eggshells, and it's a good reminder that like they're just another person too.
Totally.
And like they probably have dealt with this their whole life and know how to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think that's a really good reminder and important message that you all share too.
Yeah, and they're so grateful that you're asking. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this person's acknowledging and taking time to get to know me, not just thinking, oh, I'm a wheelchair user, I can't do X, Y, or Z,
Yeah.
which totally isn't true. We've
Not making assumptions.
Right. We've had some with the spinal cord injury retreat. People share their experiences, and one of the stories that gets me is my friend Jessie, who's a wheelchair user, she calls Ubers, and they show up. They see she's in a wheelchair, and they cancel the ride. They don't stop to ask a question. They don't ask, does your wheelchair fold up? How does it fit in my car? Like, she does it every single day. She can drive,
Right.
and rather than learning about the person, they just cancel and leave.
Yeah.
So I think those are moments to think about when we're inviting people into the outdoors and creating inclusive spaces.
Yeah, it's really easy, and I mean, like, I've seen it in all of my different coaching things that I've done throughout my life. You know, I remember a guy who I coached for a baseball academy down in New Jersey. Like, I had played for them when I was in high school, and then like when I was going back in the summer times, I would coach for him and stuff. And I'll never forget, like, one day he just looked at all of us on the coaching staff and he just said, don't ever be the person that says no for a kid when you're trying to figure out if they can do something.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
you're going to be able to see if they can do it or not. Just give them the guided pathway, right? Or there might be situations where you're like, hey, I actually just want you to, like, go and experiment with this, and I'm not going to give you any instruction manual, and I want to see what you do,
Yeah.
right? But don't say no for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I see it all the time up here where, you know, we have 120 mini cuffers, so they're 3 to 5 year olds, right? And
It's an army.
it is.
Take
When we're all
over.
standing up there on the landing, but like, trying to get that message to the coaches of, like, please do not assume that just because this child is 3 years old
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to be a complete noodle for the entire day, and when they tell you that they can't do something, like, they're probably not telling the truth. You know, because for many of them, their parents have had them up here since they were a year old.
Totally.
And they've already been sliding on snow and, like, all of those things. And so I think regardless of the population that you're working with, we're really good at doing that, where we're just like, well, I know what it took for me to get to the point that I am at in my
Mm-hmm.
thing. And so I know that you're not there yet. And so I'm going to say no for you. And it's like, well, no, maybe they're better than you. Like,
Right.
maybe they've figured out how to, like, make, like, go into this very, like, challenging environment, and yet with all the things that they have coming onto the plate with them, like, they've already figured out their tools. They
Mhm.
like the amount of times that I'll see, like, you know, someone on a sit ski who, like, you know, goes to make a turn, they fall over onto their side, and everybody is like, the hands go up and the panic sets
Yeah.
in, and it's like, and then the guy just pushes himself up.
Right. He's done this
You're
a
like-
million times.
We're good.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm
No,
so
it's
impressed
true.
by people who use those. They're really, really cool.
Yeah. They are tough and resilient and so cool.
Have you seen any of the snow yaks? They're I don't know if they're startup anymore. That's but they're a
They're
company.
fairly new.
Yeah. Based out of central Maine somewhere, and it's this guy who's, like, trying to kind of take the, like, sit ski world and bring it to just, like, everything, like, everyone population.
Oh.
And so, like, so it's really interesting.
Yeah, they're like a little bit higher off the
Mhm.
ground, kind of like you're sitting in a office chair.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've never
interesting.
tried one, but Alex, the snow reporter for Sugarloaf,
Mhm.
sent some pictures the other day because she thought it was someone in our program, and I was like, I don't know who that is, but they look great. Really cool to
interesting.
see them out there.
It's not like I've seen the bikes that have like the
Yeah, like
ski
the
on the
snow
bottom.
Snow goes, yeah, no,
They're
different,
Very
different, different vibe.
Yeah, you're,
Those do not have seats.
Those look
well, they
scary.
do kind of, right? They're kind of like a bike.
I mean, yeah,
Just-
they
just
sort
you're
of
not
have
like
a seat.
sitting like we're sitting.
You don't really. I have ridden one before. When you are actually riding one, you really don't want to be sitting on the chair, like, at all.
Oh, okay.
It's like the most uncomfortable bike ride that you've ever done if you're truly sitting on the
So essentially, you should just keep skiing instead of.
Well, yeah, they
using
like
a stool.
well on the like where your feet go on the snow go. They have like kind of little bracket things to like help your feet stay in there, and so you're standing up on the thing. Like if you're actually gonna try to make it turn, you are standing, being almost as active as you would have been if you were skiing or snowboarding.
It's just a different sport.
Yeah. Totally.
That
They
makes
look-
sense.
I've never tried one, but it looks
Oh, it's a
difficult
wild ride.
and scary.
I don't know if that's something I'm interested in.
Yeah. Not yet.
There's all different kinds of ways to get outside. We
Totally.
experience that all the time. I mean,
Yes.
even for the like finding the leaf and being curious, and then we have people who are dipping in the ocean and regulating their body temperatures,
Right.
and like that's another way to get outside. And then we have people sitting in the sit ski and going down the mountain. There's like all different kinds of ways to experience the outdoors, and I think that's pretty neat. That's you can really do anything that kind of speaks to you and your interests, and seems like you're bringing a lot of that to the participants that join your programs at the AOEC, and that's pretty sweet.
Definitely. Yeah, it's very, very cool to get to spend those moments outside with them, moments that click when, they start to figure out skiing or they climb a route for rock climbing, whatever it might be. It's just really, I think I get, just as much joy, if not more, from those moments. So it's very special.
Yeah.
For like the outdoor rec world, I think those who listen to our podcast are either they like to play outside or they're affiliated with some kind of outdoor program. And so I'm curious like what your advice would be and what your take is on how to make outdoor recreation more accessible and more inclusive.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we've learned is don't think that you have to do it yourself and that you need all the answers. Collaboration has been our biggest benefit and asset to growing over 10 years, and we want to be able to work with other places. We don't expect that when we go to a new outfit that's never worked with diverse populations or people with disabilities, that they know what they're going to do, that they know how to set up the space, in an ADA way or in an adaptable way. So I just think kind of like we touched on having questions and open conversations and even saying like, we don't know what this looks like or what our role is, but how can we do it? And bringing in those people with lived experiences to trial it. We do demo stuff all the time where we're like, we have this equipment, we don't know how it'll work. Do you want to come be a tester for us and see what happens? And people are so excited. They want to be invited into that fold and they want to have opportunity to participate in, activities like their peers. So I think that's the biggest thing is like a willingness to try and an openness to like learning and figuring it out.
Cool.
I love that. I think that's possible.
It's so possible.
I think we will get there.
Yeah,
We will
yeah.
get there.
I think there's good momentum right now, and people are like, starting to recognize that. And Will, who we work with from ski school, he owns Osprey Echo Sea Kayaking in Stonington,
Yep.
and he had a family a couple summers ago who had sons who were wheelchair users, and they wanted to go kayaking, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I can do this!" And so we started working with him to offer some adaptive paddling.
That's awesome.
But that was like a totally new realm for him, where he was like, "Oh wait, I can set up my space so that it can accommodate people, and then I have an outfit that's inclusive of anyone who comes to do it." So that's really cool.
Yeah. Will's another person, probably somewhere in the future. We might have to have him jump
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
podcast.
He would
We got to
love
make it up
it.
to Stonington, which is a little bit further.
I love it there.
I mean,
I'll go
a
any day.
summer trip to
Well,
Stonington,
and-
bummer.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure you know this. That he was saying, and I was on the phone with him the other day, and apparently it's like, not to blow it up on the spot on this massive podcast that we're on, but apparently it's like the top like sea kayaking location in terms of like how the something is set up. I don't know. I'm not a sea kayaker. This is not my world.
How
but,
the ocean's set up.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But it
How
was
the
like,
islands
but it was
are
like
laid.
how the archipelago was like arranged. It creates like some of the best sea kayaking. And whether or not that was true or if he was
I
just like
believe
giving
him.
me the magic
Yeah.
marketing line.
No, we did 2 days of paddling with him, and that's the first time I'd really been sea kayaking. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like relatively calm, September, perfect
I mean,
weather.
the islands out there are just
Amazing.
so picturesque too.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yes.
anywhere you look, it's beautiful and
Yes.
active waterfront. And I've only taken the boat out from Stonington to Islaho,
Mm.
so I haven't done any paddling there, but it's on my list. So
Yeah.
maybe we should do a podcast.
it.
episode.
We might have to go there.
We're
I'm
doing
sure
an,
he would be down.
Adaptive Paddle Day, August 30th. So come on out.
August 30th. Okay.
Oh,
Mark your
okay.
calendars.
All right.
Yeah, I guess speaking of that, do you have any like events or fundraisers or things for, general public that, people should know about?
We are currently a part of Yoga for Good. So
Okay.
I think it's the first Friday of every month.
That's in
I should
Portland,
know.
isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
At the Toad and Co in Portland.
Mhm.
I think
Cool.
it's at 8 a.m. So January, February, March, April, we're the beneficiary of Yoga for Good.
Cool.
And then the 25th, so a week from Sunday, we are the featured nonprofit at the Maine Celtics game.
Oh,
So
cool.
we'll be doing the 55th year raffle, and I think those are kind of the two community events that we're a part of, which will be really fun.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. Well,
I
I
was-
think no, go for it.
I
Go
was just
for it.
gonna say we normally do like our rapid fire questions,
Sweet.
but before we jump into those, they're kind of fun and lighthearted. But is there anything else you want to share that feels important?
I think just thank you. It's so great to get to spread word about adaptive recreation and to listen to what you guys have been putting on and sharing more about the awesome work that's happening in Maine. I feel like I learn about new outdoor resources and places and people. And so I think it's really fun that you all are highlighting that in so many different ways. So
Thanks.
very cool.
Yeah, it feels good to share about all the cool things going on, and we feel like we have endless opportunity for podcast episodes
Oh my
with
god.
all these
Definitely.
different organizations and businesses. And so this is our first episode with an organization like yours, and
Very
so
cool.
I think it's really important to bring in the conversation of accessibility and
Mhm.
access. So
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
we're doing
voices
it.
from the summit.
Voices from the yurt.
There's a much higher summit just over there, but we're close to the summit of the road that we are on. So there are plenty of fantastic outdoor activities, but we got to know what's your favorite? What's the
Mountain biking,
Oh,
not even a
okay.
question.
We didn't even talk about that at all yet this episode.
Yes, I'm a summer warm weather person. Riding has taken me to incredible places. It's allowed me to meet incredible people. Something my husband and I get to do together, and I call them my best day evers, where at the end of the day you just have that moment of wow, how lucky am I? And most of my best day evers are after a big day of riding.
Nice.
There's such a great community up here for mountain biking, and the
It's
trails
amazing.
are unreal. I love coming up here and biking with Jess.
Ah.
So you mentioned your volunteers are kind of like the core of what you all do and how you're able to do all of it. And so what are some important things that the volunteers bring
I
to
think
the
the
table?
biggest thing volunteers bring is passion. You
Passion.
don't volunteer for anything if you're not into it, or at least in my experience. And that is not something you can teach. It's not something you can train on. It is just the greatest gift. And in the work that we do and the people we work with, our volunteers are so passionate, whether it's from a personal connection or an interest. They're amazing. And I just am so grateful that we have such a great crew of volunteers that just want to keep doing more. They'll spend a day with us skiing, and then they'll be like, Kayla, what can we do to clean the lodge? I'm like, you don't need to do anything more. You've already given us so much of your time. And it's amazing. So the passion that our volunteers have is awesome.
I'm sure they thrive off of the passion of all of you who work here at AOEC too, because you can just feel it. I mean, just talking to
Awesome.
you today, I can see
Thank
that from
you.
you as well.
Describe the future of Maine's outdoor recreation economy in one word.
Oh, gosh. I bet you both are far more equipped than I am. But from, I guess, my perspective, growing. It definitely feels like it's growing and robust. It also feels vital. I think of why my husband and I moved here, and it was for outdoor recreation. And that's what's kept us here. So I think we're really lucky to live in Maine, where outdoor recreation is such a big thing. We're both lucky to work in outdoor recreation. So those I think are my two.
Yeah.
Vital and growing.
Right out of the DECD study. Kayla's like, yeah,
You're
I moved
part
here
of the
because of outdoor rec.
Yeah.
Not sure if you were
Statistic.
necessarily surveyed for that one, but that's basically what the study said.
Yep. Yeah. Came for the summer, and 10.5 years later, we're still here. So.
Love that story. One thing outdoor organizations should stop overthinking when it comes to accessibility.
I think just stop overthinking. It doesn't
Yeah.
need to be more complicated, and you're not expected to do it alone.
Yeah.
Look to partner, look to collaborate, and don't reinvent the wheel. So many answers are already out there and resources. So through collaboration, it can not be that big of an undertaking.
And then, so I think our final question, I think, marries that answer extremely well. Like, you know, if you had to explain adaptive outdoor education without any of the technical language, like, what is that story that you tell to someone who's like, that's it?
I think it circles back to how we started. It's community, outdoor education, adaptive outdoor education. It's about how to bring people together to recreate, to move our bodies, to be happy, healthy. I think of why I recreate, and it's because of the people I get to spend time with. And I think that's all it needs to be, like creating a sense of belonging and a place of belonging.
I was listening to another podcast, and I feel bad because I don't actually remember which podcast it was, because I would shout them out. But it was talking about how, like, people who don't put as high of a level of value on community, oftentimes it's because of the fact that they just haven't necessarily figured out which one is theirs yet.
I like that.
And like once you get that sensation, it's very, like, it's intoxicating. Like you and you want to find yourself in those settings more and more and more. So I love it. That was a beautiful way to finish off this episode. So for all of you who have stuck around for the long haul on this episode, really hope you enjoyed this conversation with Kayla. And thank you again so much for coming on. It was so much fun having you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kayla.
If you haven't already, please make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and hitting the follow button on all the platforms, because otherwise, how do you know about all this cool stuff that we're doing? Like, we're hanging out in a yurt right now. You should probably come check this yurt out at some point, because it's amazing.
Especially if you go to Sugarloaf all the time. It's right
come
off
by
the road.
anytime.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So right off the road, if you're going up to the outdoor center, whether you're a big cross country skier or if you're doing the mountain biking stuff in the summertime, you literally drive right past it. So hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button, and until then, we'll see you outside.
See you outside.